supposed to do, obviously. So that definitely goes a long way as well. 176 yards, 33 carries. Sanders with that 67-yard kickoff return. That was very, very important that he did that because obviously the Eagles were down 10-0. They were in trouble. And anytime Aaron Rodgers has a lead at Lambeau Field, he's undefeated until last night, of course. So I look at it from that perspective. And this is the thing that really, really makes me so proud of the Philadelphia Eagles. Their secondary is in shambles. Darby was out. We know who are these guys? Jones, whoever it is. Malcolm Jenkins is back there. A couple other dudes. Their secondary is just dismantled. They're decimated right now with injuries or what have you. You could have thrown the football all day, anytime you wanted to, which Aaron Rodgers proved, throwing over 422 yards, threw for 422 yards and a touchdown. I didn't even think that last interception was his fault per se because it hit the guy. But the flip side is he missed it. If you saw, they jumped on Valdez-Scantling. They jumped on both Eagles defenders jumped on him. You had this kid. What is his name here? I wrote this down because I hadn't seen him before. All right, Darius Shepard out of North Dakota State, where Carson Wentz went from. He sat up there. He ran straight to the right corner of the end zone. If you had waited another second, he was wide open. Now, he didn't turn around till late, so clearly the play was designed for Scantling. There's no question about it.
Just made a catch and
just
Rodgers was feeling good about
it. But because you're Aaron Rodgers, because you're that bad man, because you're that elite dude who usually sees these kind of things and doesn't miss something like that, I was surprised that he just went the Russell Wilson route and tried to make that throw as opposed to hesitate just for a second and spotting the guy wide open, Shepard wide open in the right corner. Overall, the Eagles won this game. The Packers didn't lose it. I give credit where credit is due.
You were right to identify the Eagles' season, I don't think it actually was on the line. I know what the numbers say, but I think strange things can happen. But to know that a team that's desperate can sometimes pull out a win in a game they're supposed to lose. I give credit to Carson Wentz, who I've been critical of because the sample size was growing, suggesting that the team just doesn't play for him the way they played for Nick Foles. They played for him yesterday.
Right.
He led them yesterday. Let me say this about the Packers. Remember when Mike Tomlin got the Pittsburgh job?
Yep.
He stood
it was
up
a decade
there,
ago.
and I was like, Mike Tomlin, he got the job? I mean, of course, a lot was made African-American coach, everything, but okay. What's this dude really about? Let me see. He gets up at the podium and made me a fan. Minute one, he goes, Steelers football, run the ball, stop the run. I don't care what era you're in, how much the forward lateral has meant more and more. When you hear that, that hits you in your reptilian brain. If you're a football fan, yes, that's right. I don't care how much the game changes, right? The line play and whether you can do that, fundamental stuff like run the ball, stop the run, you have to be able to do those things. The Packers were exposed last night as a team that can't run the ball or stop the run. I mean, that's what happened. And so what is Aaron Rodgers really working with here? It's the same old, same old. You look at the Packers, you go, are they in the mix? Yeah, because they're kind of good enough. They have enough players on offense. They have a good enough defense that if Rodgers balls out of his mind, they could maybe win a Super Bowl. But we don't really believe that. They're not in anyone's top tier. And we saw last night, Rodgers has to be perfect. He made some throws that were catchable, but they weren't perfect like usually we're used to seeing him in big situations. He puts the ball where only the offensive player can make a play on the ball. That wasn't the case yesterday. Stephen A., the play calling, they had 6 chances inside the 5. How many runs?
0.
6 chances inside the 5. You don't run the ball. How about this? Quarterback sneak anyone at any time? You think about it. There's the line of scrimmage. The quarterback is quite close to it. You have a mobile quarterback who can diagnose the defense. If you need a yard, maybe try that one if you don't want to hand off the ball. But what you don't do is drop back. You did all the work to get there. Now to pick up a first down, to get a touchdown, you're close to it. You did work to get to that place. No, let's just give it all back. We'll drop the quarterback back. What? The play calling was atrocious. The good news is that can't get worse. That can only get better. And in spite of everything I just said, the Packers had repeated chances to tie the game. And in fact, the ball was in receivers' hands in the end zone more than once. So the good news is, with just better play calling, maybe they win that game. There's reason for Packers fans to feel good about the season, but my big picture takeaway, Stephen A., it's more of the same. If Aaron Rodgers isn't perfect, this team ain't going anywhere.
Well, I don't view it that way. I think that, first of all, last night was not a great night for them defensively. I mean, they came in ranked number 2. Now they dropped to number 7 after just one game. That's number one. Number 2, we've got to pay attention to the fact that not only did they give up 176 yards rushing to the Philadelphia Eagles last night, but in week 2 they gave up 198 to Minnesota.
Can't stop
so
the run.
So again, they ranked 29th against the run. So we got to pay attention to that. Let's also talk about Jimmy Graham. My brother, you ain't Odell Beckham Jr. All these one-handed catch attempts, put both hands up. You're Jimmy Graham. You better than that. You got those kind of skills. Do something about that. Stop trying to grab the ball with one hand. That's number 3. Number 4, we got to pay attention to this as well. Aaron Rodgers, we all know how I feel about that bad brother. We know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. There is some slippage. There is no question about it. Now we have to start paying attention because somehow, some way, this much we can say. Aaron Rodgers, there is no way in hell you give him the ball on 6 separate occasions inside of the 5, and he don't find a way to score. That just doesn't happen. Not to Aaron Rodgers, okay? Somehow, some way, he going to find a way to get in. Now, there were some spectacular throws last night. We saw that. But there were also some places, and this is where I can't come to his defense. When we talk about the Patriots coming back from a 25-point deficit in the Super Bowl, what did I say? Matt Ryan, you've been in the league long enough. You can audible. You can do it. I don't give a damn what your offensive coordinator says. Or your head coach says, look, we're going to run the football. We damn sure ain't going to throw it because of incomplete capacity, stop the clock, etc. We ain't going to put ourselves in that position. The clock is on our side. In the case of Aaron Rodgers, if Matt LaFleur decides that he wants to throw the football every single down, you do have the power to audible and make sure, especially him. So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at Aaron Rodgers there.
That because here are the facts of the matter. And this is why I said, when I said there was pressure on Aaron Rodgers.
By the way, they reached the red zone 7 times.
Right. When I said there was pressure on Aaron Rodgers heading into the season, and you said Matt LaFleur, my whole point, or LaFleur as you say, my whole point is people won't even remember Matt LaFleur if he flames out. But people will remember what Aaron Rodgers did. He was a primetime game. I know it's Thursday, still a primetime game, which gives you the advantage. Thursday's actually home team. He was at home. He had a lead. He was in the red zone how many times?
7.
7 times.
Came away with
he
3
was
touchdowns.
inside the 5.
Came away with 3 touchdowns.
He was inside the 5 6 times. He had a chance to tie the game twice in the 4th quarter. And you come away with an L. This is stuff, and who are we talking about right now? As much as I'm talking about Matt LaFleur's play calling, you are correctly saying, I'm not trying to hear that. Aaron Rodgers, get it done. There is pressure this season.
It is a new, like I said, and it's on him because it's a new coach, yes. But that wasn't Matt LaFleur calling those plays.
Well,
Aaron Rodgers has the power to sit up there and call whatever he wants. They said this before the season began. That's on him.
Got to run it.
And that fateful interception, it was the first of his career from inside the 3-yard line.
Well, that wasn't
closer.
his fault. That hit the guy right here. Even though I know a pass interference, he was actually got away with a pass interference on that play.
All right, guys, let's put a button on that. Okay, still to come on First Take, ESPN has named the best player heading into the season. But do you guys
supposed to do, obviously. So that definitely goes a long way as well. 176 yards, 33 carries. Sanders with that 67-yard kickoff return. That was very, very important that he did that because obviously the Eagles were down 10-0. They were in trouble. And anytime Aaron Rodgers has a lead at Lambeau Field, he's undefeated until last night, of course. So I look at it from that perspective. And this is the thing that really, really makes me so proud of the Philadelphia Eagles. Their secondary is in shambles. Darby was out. We know who are these guys? Jones, whoever it is. Malcolm Jenkins is back there. A couple other dudes. Their secondary is just dismantled. They're decimated right now with injuries and what have you. You could have thrown the football all day, anytime you wanted to, which Aaron Rodgers proved, throwing over 422 yards, threw for 422 yards and a touchdown. I didn't even think that last interception was his fault per se because it hit the guy. But the flip side is he missed it. If you saw, they jumped on Valdez-Scantling. They jumped on both Eagles defenders jumped on him. You had this kid. What is his name here? I wrote this down because I hadn't seen him before. All right, Darius Shepard out out of North Dakota State, where Carson Wentz went from. He sat up there, he ran straight to the right corner of the end zone. If you had waited another second, he was wide open. Now, he didn't turn around till late, so clearly the play was designed for Scantling. There's no question about it.
Just made a catch and like
just made a
Rodgers
catch.
feeling good about it.
But because you're Aaron Rodgers, because you're that bad man, because you're that elite dude,